half a lifetime ago, I'm 51, I'll be 52 next year. Half a lifetime ago, I was 25, 26, and I went into a club called JRA. And the president at the time, funnily enough, was Meryl Jabber, who's our club growth director. I think she was 19 or 20, program quality, I beg your pardon. And I think I was doing a thing called a CC2 in those days. And the old man, he must have been in his 50s, with a white beard, approached me. And he said, "What are you trying to achieve?" And I said to him, I'm just trying to do the CC2. And he said, yeah, but what are you working on? I said, I'm working on the CC2. He said, you must have something that you want to particularly achieve. And that was the first time I realized, actually, that I'm not here to be passed or failed by somebody in the club. I'm responsible now for my own development. The speaker is responsible for their own development. And that changed the game completely for me. I was lucky I was in my 20s. Because what that meant was now I wanted all the feedback I could get. Before, I'm dreading the feedback. Oh, am I going to fail? Am I going to pass? That's quite scary. Now, I'm thinking I don't have to fail or pass. All I have to do is get what I want to get out of the program. So that changed the game completely for me. Now, I'm not going to talk to you today about receiving feedback. Receiving feedback is a very difficult thing to do. We as Toastmasters, we come here, we put ourselves in the public spotlight, we deliver a speech for scrutiny for everybody. That's quite a difficult thing for all of us to do. I'm sure you agree. And feedback, let's face it, is a gift. And it's a gift that doesn't always come nicely wrapped. So to receive that feedback is sometimes quite difficult. And I'm not going to talk about that. The correct thing to do when you receive feedback is just to say thank you. What do you do when you receive a gift? You say thank you. Your child gives you a stone. They don't have any resources. They don't have any money. The only thing they can give you is a stone from the garden. You say thank you. You might not like it. It's a gift. I'm going to talk to you today about giving the feedback. Because giving the feedback is also quite vulnerable. I remember I was training in Gabon, and there was somebody sitting around about there, right? And his breath would fell a rhinoceros. It was hard for me to work, actually. So I eat a lot of meat in Gabon. So at the tea time, I was training in French. I went up to this man and I said, "Je suis très désolé, hein, mais I don't know, what is the French word for bad breath?" He said, "Mauvaise haleine." I said, "That's what you've got." It's like it was really awkward for me. He said, "Don't worry, don't be embarrassed," you know. And he went and got some gum. So I want to talk to you about feedback in the following way. And it was awkward for me because it's difficult to give somebody feedback like that, right? Any feedback. Because you're making yourself vulnerable as well. You know, you might get punched in the mouth because people are not always good at receiving feedback. So I want to give you feedback in the following way. There are 5 stages. Are there 5? 4, 3? There are several stages of feedback. The first feedback, which we always welcome, is what is my experience? How did I experience that? We always want that. That's always feedback that we welcome. Because let's face it, if I'm a speaker, everything is feedback. The fact that there are 11 people in this room and not 20 is feedback. It's all feedback. It's not good or bad. It's not positive or negative. It's data that we can now use to our advantage if we are courageous enough to do that. So the first thing is, what is our experience? My experience today is 11 people at the meeting, not 20. Your experience today is you're bored, you're happy, you're inspired, you're motivated, your thoughts have been provoked, whatever that is, right? That's your experience. And I, as a speaker, want that, because if you're my audience, I need that experience of yours. That's the first level. The second level is opinion. This is supremely unhelpful. I thought that was very good. Oh, well, bully for you, very good. What should I do about that? No, you keep going. Keep going with what? Oh, I thought that was terrible. Lovely. What am I supposed to do with that information? It's not even information, it's just your opinion, right? And I'm not going to tell the joke about what opinions are, but opinions are extremely unhelpful. If I say that was good, that was bad, that was terrible, that was wonderful, it's not a helpful feedback. It's just not. You're not working. As the evaluator, your job is to also do a little bit of work, to listen to the speaker, to monitor your own body and your own experience and to tell the speaker your experience. That is useful. Telling somebody your opinion, not useful. And the third one, of course, is judgment. You're a terrible person. How could you say that? Or, you spoke about something and I agree completely. You're a wonderful person. You must be a terribly good father. You know, like not helpful and also not good. So what's the difference between an opinion and a judgment? An opinion is, that's what this speech was about, it was terrible. And a judgment is a permanent judgment of you as a person. You are a good person. You are a bad person. You are diligent. You are lazy. You came here unprepared. You're a lazy person. No. In my opinion, you should prepare more. Also not useful. When you spoke, I kind of felt a little bit awkward because I could see that you hadn't prepared. And now I'm feeling sorry for you. Very useful, right? Now, what stops us from telling people our experience, which is the most valuable feedback? It's we don't want people to feel bad. I don't want this poor man to feel bad about his bad breath. At the same point, I also want to be able to do my job, which is to train without being like asphyxiated. So it's very vulnerable for us to do that. And if you realize that our job is to serve the member, then you realize you can't make people feel good or feel bad. You are giving them data for them to improve their own performance. So the first tip I would give you is discuss with the speaker beforehand what they're trying to achieve, because then you can serve the speaker. Because it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about trying to serve the speaker. The only way it's about you is you're going to give them the benefit of your experience, how you experience that speech, so that they can improve. You are in service to that member. And I remember one time I was doing a facilitation strategy session one morning, and one of the board members approached me and she said, "Oh, you're a Toastmaster." "Oh, yes, past district governor." "Yes, I went to a Toastmasters club." "Oh, really? Oh, yes, and you evaluated me." She says, "I never went back." You destroyed me so thoroughly with that evaluation, I decided I was never going to go back to Toastmasters. So what happened then? What had happened, obviously, was that I must have thought I was terribly clever and telling people all sorts of wonderful things they could do to improve their speaking. And who am I serving at that moment? I'm serving myself. I'm trying to impress this woman by how clever I am and how important I am. And am I really serving her? I'm not. If I had just stuck to what she asked for, she was doing a CC2. If I had just met her where she was and given her my experience of her speech, maybe I would have served her a bit better. So the first thing about feedback as well is that it's important to get permission. Don't give people feedback that they didn't ask for. We've all been the receiving end of advice that we didn't ask for and we didn't want. And let's face it, we never use that advice. Do not give people feedback on stuff that they already know or that they didn't ask for. Sometimes I'll say, I've got some feedback for you if you'd like it. Would you like it? And they go, "Yeah, okay. All right, I won't then. It's fine." No, give it to me. No, you know what? You're doing a great job. Keep going. They're not interested in my poxy feedback, are they? They didn't ask for it. I'm offering it. I might have something valuable. They didn't want it. I remember I've got a little podcast called Does That Even Work? And I wrote a jingle. And I played it for my girlfriend. And I said to her, "Listen, it's early days. I've only just started this jingle. I think it's got something. I'm going to play it for you now. And it's quite difficult for me because it's a work in progress. I only want you to say one thing. Wow, that sounds amazing. That's all I want. I do not want your feedback. I do not want to improve it. I just want validation." And so she gave it to me. And you know what she said to me? She said, once I had said, "Well done, Erich, you go." Then she says, "You asked me for feedback." And I hadn't realized that. I thought, oh, wow. So once I get the validation I need, then I can maybe ask for the feedback. But then I can ask for the feedback, right? We operate as evaluators from the very firm knowledge that people are not coming here for validation. They're not coming here to feel good. They're coming here to improve. Does that make sense? All right. Now, it's very difficult for us to now, how do we give people the tips? Because they say in coaching, you should give people what their strength is and what their stretch is. What's your strength? What's your stretch? What are you doing well? What could you do differently? What's the one tip? And I'm going to give you, as Rosebank Toastmasters, the best club in the world, 5 levels that we can use that no other club in the world has. And they go as follows. The first one is, what did I hear? So when you're sitting there listening to the speaker, you can say, this is what I heard. That's the first level of feedback. The second one is, what did I understand? So that's an intellectual process. I can hear the words, and maybe I didn't understand anything because he was talking in MBA speak. I don't know. I heard you say about the current economic climate and customer service excellence, and I heard all of that. I didn't understand very much of it. Or what I understood to mean was very intellectual. The third step is, what did I feel? So there's different feelings, right? Was I moved emotionally? Did I feel bored? Did I feel excited? This is incredibly useful information. If you say to me, Erich, that evaluation was fantastic, in the middle I really felt quite bored. I thought, yes, you've said that thing 3 times. Oh, okay, that's useful. Maybe I should stop repeating myself. You're not telling me what to do. Have you noticed that? You're just telling me your experience. So what you're doing is you're feeling moved, or do you feel connected? Do you feel bored, inspired, interested? Or are you feeling cold? Are you feeling tired, lethargic? These are useful things. Physical sensations and emotional sensations. The next level is, was I inspired? And if I was, what inspired me? And the last one is, what will I remember? What was memorable? How many times have we gone to a motivational speech and you think, whoa, it's going to be great! And you get out of there and you think, what was that? Oh, I don't know what he said, actually. I find this with stand-up comedy. You come out of a show, oh, it was fantastic. And the next day you think, oh, wow, you should have seen this guy. He was amazing. We just laughed. Oh, can you tell me some of his jokes? Can't remember a damn thing. Memorable, right? So there are 5 things. What did I hear? What did I understand? What moved me? What inspired me? And what do I remember? And those 5 things you can give to any speaker. Bonus tip. What's the stretch, right? A stretch is you will always be moved by a personal story. Now, what is a story? Because a story is not an anecdote. An anecdote is, Nikki said this morning, I woke up at 10, my alarm went off at 10 to 5, but it was the wrong ringtone, and so I put it onto snooze, and I put it onto snooze twice, and I was very tired, and Steve said, come on, your coffee's getting cold, and I thought, oh, I'd better get up, and I got up and I came here. It sounds like a story, but it's not. It's an anecdote. What is the difference between a story and an anecdote? In a story, there is some change. Something shifted. It can be the tiniest shift. But if the speaker tells you a story, then something will have shifted for that speaker. Think about the stories I told this morning. Rod Taylor came to me and he said, is there something that you're working on? And what shifted for me was, oh, I realize now I am in charge of my own development. I told a story about this woman I met, this board member, and I realized that I had given her feedback, but I had destroyed her confidence because I had served myself instead of the speaker. Those are 2 stories, right? I came to a realization, and that is what you're looking for. What shifted? That's the first bonus tip. The second pro tip I've got for you is, feedback is not here to make people feel good. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. A lot of Toastmasters clubs will say, you use this hamburger technique, you tell them something they did well, and then you tell them something that they didn't do so well, and then you tell them something that they did well. Not helpful, because it's confusing. Like, what did I do? What? What must I do? You're not here to try and make people feel good. And the hamburger technique operates from the assumption that I, as an evaluator, am going to give this person information that's going to make them feel terrible about themselves. And so I'd better mitigate that by making them feel good about themselves, because I feel awkward giving them this feedback. No. You're giving them information, and you can give them information with love. You can say, you know, that middle bit was quite boring. You're serving that person. You're not making them feel bad. You're helping them develop as a speaker. To evaluate, to motivate goes like this. Get permission from the speaker, and they give you their permission by coming up here. Ask them what it is they're trying to achieve and try and serve that objective. Give them your experience, not your opinion or your judgment, because that is the most valuable experience, the most valuable feedback there is. Tell them these 5 things: what you heard, what you understood, what you felt, what inspired you, and what you will remember. And then tell them their strength and their stretch. Now, this might be an opinion, right? This is an appropriate time for an opinion. I think maybe you should slow down. I think maybe you should pause more. I don't know, maybe you should. One thing, and that will help them grow. And then finally, don't try and make them feel good. It's not your job. Your job is to serve them by giving them the best information that they can get to improve their experience. I said this last week, practice doesn't make perfect. Only perfect practice makes perfect. Practice makes permanent. And so what that means is, how do we improve our performance? How do we get that perfect practice? I learned this from my mentor, Mike Williams. You have to constantly improve by examining your own performance. And if you can do that, and you can take on board the feedback, and you can constantly improve your performance, then you'll start practicing perfectly. And then indeed, practice will make perfect. Madam Toastmaster.